All right, so today we're going to deconstruct something fascinating. We're diving deep into the world of fintech, financial technology, to see how these newer companies are just completely tearing up the old marketing rulebook. And really, it all comes down to this one huge question. I mean, for decades, money has been this super complex, kind of scary topic, right? Let's be real, it can be pretty boring. So how in the world are these new guys managing to cut through all that noise and actually get people to listen and, connect with them? Okay, so to really wrap our heads around this, you got to see the bigger picture. There's been this massive shift. It's almost like a tale of two different worlds. You've got the old way of doing things in finance, and then the new way.
All right, let's break this down. Think about traditional bank marketing. It's usually super conservative, right? It's all about we're the authority, uses a ton of complicated jargon, and we've all been there. The fees are buried somewhere in the tiny print. But then you look at what fintechs are doing, and it's a total 180. They're relatable. They focus on empowering you, the customer. They use simple language, and they're upfront about what you're getting for your money.
So what's the trick? How are they pulling this off? Well, it's not some kind of magic spell. It's actually a really smart strategy, and it's built on a handful of key ideas that just work. Let's get into what makes up that secret sauce.
Okay, so it really boils down to these four pillars. First up, relatability. This is huge. It's about making finance fit into your life, not just selling you a product. Second, you've got transparency, and I mean radical transparency. In an industry that's famous for being cautious, being upfront about fees and what's what, that's a total game changer. Third is engagement. Taking something that feels like a chore and making it interactive, maybe even fun. And last but not least, education. Giving people the knowledge they need, which in turn builds this incredible foundation of trust. So this is the playbook we're going to see again and again.
Okay, theory is one thing, but let's look at some real-world examples, because that's where it gets interesting. We're going to start with a few campaigns that absolutely nailed making finance feel human, using those first two pillars, relatability and transparency. Check this out. This simple little phrase from Robinhood, it was a bomb that went off in the investing world. It completely changed the game. Suddenly, investing wasn't just for the suits on Wall Street, it was for, everyone. So the how is what's really key here. Robinhood's whole game plan was to democratize investing, and they did it by telling stories from real, everyday people. All of a sudden, the idea of being an investor didn't seem so far-fetched. It felt achievable, normal even, and that just smashed this huge mental wall that a lot of people had up.
Okay, now this is a masterclass in transparency. TransferWise, you probably know them as Wise now. They went straight for the jugular. They targeted the single biggest frustration people have with sending money overseas, those sneaky hidden fees.
And the genius of this is why it landed so well. Think about it. This is an industry where everyone is skeptical from the get-go. So for them to come out with this radical transparency strategy, it was revolutionary. Just by showing all the fees right up front, they weren't just selling you a better rate. They were building instant trust. They became the honest guys in a room full of shadows.
All right, next up, let's talk about SoFi. They took a slightly different path, but it was just as human. Their whole angle wasn't about the loan. It was about what that loan could do for you, what it makes possible in your life.
And this is just a perfect example of emotional storytelling at its best. SoFi put real people front and center, sharing their actual success stories. This loan helped me start my dream business, or we finally bought our first home. It completely changed the narrative from a cold, hard transaction to a life-changing partnership. And that's how you make a brand truly inspiring.
Okay, so we've seen how being relatable and telling great stories can build that human connection. But believe it or not, that's only part of the puzzle. Now let's look at the other side of things. Campaigns that are all about making finance an active experience, not a passive one. It's about engagement and putting you squarely in control. Now, before we jump into the next one, there's a really important idea we got to talk about: gamification. It sounds complicated, but it's not. It's just the simple but super powerful idea of taking stuff from games, like points, competition, rewards, and adding them to things that aren't games. The goal? To make them more fun and, keep you coming back for more.
And wow,
When it comes to gamification and fintech, nobody, and I mean nobody, has done it better than Cash App. Their Cash App Fridays campaign, it's literally legendary. They took a simple app for sending money and turned it into this massive weekly social media event that people couldn't wait for.
So the strategy itself was pretty straightforward, just weekly cash giveaways. But the result? Absolutely profound. It took a boring task, sending money, and made it exciting. It made it social. It built this huge dedicated community and created a kind of brand loyalty that, honestly, most companies would kill for.
Okay, I gotta admit, this next one is a personal favorite just because it's so clever. The mobile banking app Current. They tapped right into that universal feeling of being annoyed and frustrated with old school banks.
Their whole strategy was built on humor, a humorous critique. By asking that question, what do you think we are, a bank? They immediately made you feel seen. They validated every bad experience you've ever had with a traditional bank. And just like that, they weren't just an app, they were your ally. They were the modern, common-sense solution everyone was waiting for.
And finally, let's take a look at Revolut. Their campaign honed in on something we all want when it comes to our money. It's one of the most powerful desires out there, that feeling of just being in control.
So Revolut's approach was all about show, don't tell. They didn't just say they give you control, they showed you how. They pointed directly to their budgeting tools, their instant spending notifications, all the features that actually give you that control. And that's just a killer way to demonstrate your value right away, which, of course, gets people to hit that download button.
So, we've walked through all these amazing campaigns, from being super transparent to turning finance into a game. What's the big takeaway from all of this? Well, it all boils down to a pretty straightforward and powerful modern marketing playbook.
All right, here it is. The whole playbook in 3 simple steps. Step 1, find your human angle. Just like Robinhood and SoFi taught us, it's not about the product, it's about the people and their stories. Step 2, build trust by being transparent. Take a page out of Wise's book, Be Radically Open. It is, without a doubt, the fastest way to build credibility. And step 3, make engagement your priority. Cash App proved that when you make finance fun and interactive, you don't just get customers, you get a community. You get fans.
And you know, that really brings us to the final, most important point. The one thing that connects all of these successful campaigns is a fundamental shift in thinking. It's moving away from just one-off transactions and focusing instead on building a real, genuine, long-term relationship. So the question I want to leave you with is this. Your customers are looking for that relationship. How are you going to build